Welcome to the next episode of Burning Boxes and Breaking Chains. The podcast is wrapped all around accountability, and we'll be talking some today around It's My Fault. Our guest today is Keith Greiveldinger, a fellow member of the National Speakers Association with me in Central Florida. Keith, welcome to the podcast.
Wow, what a pleasure. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me on this, Jeff. It's always great to connect with you, as I've learned so much from you just being in NSA and watching everything that you do, that I really enjoy it.
Man, I appreciate that. You flatter me. I'm just an old redneck from North Florida, man.
You're always teaching, though. You never know who you're influencing, so be wary of that.
This is true. This is true. Well, let's get started with one question I ask all my guests. Is there one time in your life that sticks out where you looked at something and you went, "This is my fault"?
I would say, every day of my life, I try to find a way to be accountable. But really, the thing that struck me and really changed my life was when I first became a father, and my child he had to have open heart surgery, and I was very frustrated and angry. And my wife, my whole family was upset, and I was upset, and I found myself wallowing in self-pity over it as well. And I thought to myself, this life isn't fair. God, why did you do this? And I was upset at God and just upset at the world and just finding anyone to put blame on. And then it just hit me that I can overcome this, and I have to be the leader for my child and the leader for my family and the leader for everyone around me, that I can't get sucked down and wallow in that frustration and anger. I have to rise up and realize it's an opportunity. And that's what really, I think, changed my life from that moment on, realizing that you can overcome odds if you take that accountability and you don't just wallow. It's okay to be frustrated and angry for a few moments, but then you have to pick yourself up and realize that everyone around you in those moments need you to step up and take accountability and be a leader.
Oh, absolutely. And somebody with some of the things that are going on in my life right now, somebody said, "You can call me even if you just want to scream that life sucks." I was like, dude, I would never say that. I said, there are moments in life that suck, but my life as a whole doesn't suck. And I started making those changes many, many years ago to make sure that I know anytime I open my eyes, I'm grateful for the day, no matter what happens during the day.
Yep.
So
every day is a gift.
it absolutely is, and it was funny last year at the IMC in Orlando. It was part of the Maxwell group that I belong to as well. I was an ambassador. This one young lady asked me, she said, "How do you get up in the morning? You're in here so early in the morning with a great attitude." I said, "That's easy." I said, "You got a choice in the morning. As soon as your eyes open, you can say, 'Good morning, Lord,' or you can say, 'Good Lord, it's morning.' That determines which way your day goes." She's like, "I never thought of that." I said, "So there's some accountabilities. I'm accountable too for my attitude throughout the day, no matter what may happen to me."
Oh, 100%.
And I remember your story. You got hold of that too with that book. I remember the story about your son, man.
Yeah.
So it's refreshing to hear. When I see other people, and that's one of the reasons why I asked you to be a guest on the podcast. Because I know there's been things in your life that you grabbed onto and said, "Yep, I'm going to be accountable for this," and the buck stops here.
Absolutely. It's always a great learning lesson. And I mean, every single day we face challenges and adversity. And that's the key. Now I look at those challenges and any adversity I face as a gift. Like, what am I learning from this? How can I overcome this?
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about perspective. Like you said, just switching a few words around from "Good morning, Lord," or "Lord, good Lord, it's morning." Switching that around can completely shift your perspective. Just the words that you use, and it controls your mindset and your perspective. And so we have to be really aware of that in life. And once I recognize that same thing that you noted, when I change the words and the words that I use, it changed my life. And I'm sure you love a good Zig Ziglar quote. My favorite one from him was, attitudes are contagious, but you got to be careful. Is yours worth catching? And I think about that every single day, how the way we present ourselves to other people influences them. And you're a prime example of that. I mean, when you walk into a room, you're always smiling, you're always laughing. And you can always, anyone can be stressed out, but when they're around you, it's hard to be stressed out and be thinking about your own problems because you just have a smile on your face. You always have a little joke to tell, and it changes everyone around you. And I just wanted to point that out, that those
Dude, I
things
appreciate
make
that.
a difference.
That's part of my I personality. 'Cause I took that disc profile, and I am literally an I, nothing else, just I. Everything else is below zero on the scale because my chart looks like this. So, because if I'm not having fun, I'm not doing it. That's just the way I look at it. And I'm always wanting to make sure that people smile, because Maya Angelou said years ago that people won't remember what you said or remember what you did, but they will remember how you made them feel.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing, is trying to always leave people with a smile on their face, and sometimes I tell people, if you see someone without a smile, I said, share yours.
Yeah.
Because I'm always cracking jokes and making friends wherever I go, whether it's in the airport or people I don't even know. I can just walk up to them and say something and get them to laughing. So I'm very blessed that I have that as part of my personality. But I thank you for saying that, because I love cutting up and having fun.
And it just has such a ripple effect. And then you don't realize, you could be in the line at the grocery store, and that poor cashier could be having a stressful day, and you make one little joke and make a compliment, and it may then infect them with that energy. And then they may infect 10 more people before it runs out, and they may need another Jeff Bledsoe to come through. But who knows? Some of the listening audience could be that next Jeff Bledsoe coming through to infect them with that positivity. But it's needed now more than ever.
Absolutely. And it's so easy to be kind to people. Be kind and put a smile on their face, And the one thing I learned too, even from Les, he's like, you gotta be careful when you're speaking business about using, any curse words and stuff. But last night I was having dinner at the hotel in New Orleans. It was at Drago's, and I felt like I've been staying away from sweets. And I asked the waitress, I said, listen, what's on your dessert menu? And she told me she's about this bread pudding. I said, how big is it? She said, it's about this big. I said, you sure? She goes, oh yeah, it's about this big. Dude, she brought that thing, or somebody delivered it to me. It wasn't her. It was this big.
Yeah.
She came back by the table. I said, this big my ass. And she
Yeah.
cracked up laughing, I was
Yeah.
like, you don't mean to be. And she looked over the thing. She goes, but you ate it all. I said, yeah, but I didn't need to.
Yeah.
So she and I had a great conversation about the bread pudding last night. So
Yeah.
I think it's a knack, and people can do that, and I think the reason I do that so much, Keith, is I learned a long time ago that I am not all of that. A bag of chips and a bowl of grits. I'm not, and I don't try and take life too seriously, because none of us are getting out of here alive.
No.
And you might as well have fun while you're along for the ride.
Absolutely.
So tell me some other things. I mean, so you mentioned your son having the open heart surgery, and I know he's doing well today.
Mm-hmm.
How old is he now?
He's 13. And
Wow.
yeah, I feel like he's tough. Like, he's a tough kid because he went through that early. So it just changed my perspective, because when a lot of my other friends, we were having children and everyone was, raising their kids and going through those trials and tribulations, they'd be like, oh, I can't watch my favorite show at night anymore. It's like I go to bed earlier. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm just happy that my child is breathing. So it shifted my perspective, and it really, really changed how I view things. And I think perspective is one of the most powerful things that everyone can have, in this world. And it's communication. I mean, Jeff, just thinking about it, I could be like, hey, I like your blue shirt. But it's like how I say it can mean everything. I can be like, I like your blue shirt. And you may in your head be like, is he making fun of my blue shirt? Is he really like it? Why is Keith so mean to me? But like I can be like, oh my God, I love your blue shirt. It's the same exact words, but I'm just saying it in a different way. And so if I say that enthusiastically, I'm not making fun of it. But if I say it in a way that you're not sure, it's your perspective that determines everything. And you shouldn't leave those things open in life. And I think so many people leave interpretation open, and then everyone, uses their own perspective and can shift it to negative or anger or frustration, or it can be positive. I mean, you could have said about the bread pudding in an angry way, or she could have
Oh, yeah.
interpreted it that you were angry, but
Yeah.
instead you said it in a fun way and she interpreted it correctly.
That's one of the things I talk about too is, when you need to be intentional and conscious of the words that come out of your mouth, because you can either have a conversation or a confrontation. And that is the accountability. You're accountable for that on the
Oh
words
yeah.
that come out of your mouth 100%. But you mentioned about the blue shirt, and I was just thinking about the times. I wish I had $1 for every time I've said this to someone, male or female, if they're dressed all in one color, which is obviously they like that color. I've said it to men and women alike. Go up to them and say, that is just out of the blue. I go, it is like if the woman's dressed head to toe in pink. I said, that is a crying shame. And they go, what? I said, that you could not find a pink outfit to wear. And they
Yeah.
will crack up laughing, and it's like, so just things like that, and I just do it out of the blue. Sometimes the hell, I may be walking through the airport bored and see somebody like that, and I'll do that just to make myself laugh.
Yeah.
You know?
You got to interrupt those patterns. I feel like we
Oh
all get
yeah,
into like such a pattern in life. Everyone's in a rush. Everyone's looking. They're always looking for the negative. So the moment someone comes out and you say something positive or that interrupts their thought process in a positive, fun way, people
yep.
remember that because that gives them the feeling that's not normal anymore.
Oh, this is true. This is true. And you sit back. There's times I sit back and I watch people when I'm at the airport or at a mall, which malls are going by the wayside. But and you see them, and it's like, man, they are just so happy they could just about, commit suicide, but, not that that's a joke, but they just look miserable walking around, and I see families with relationships and the conversations they have. I was like, man, what is wrong with you? Why do you talk to each other that way? You know? And some of the stuff is like, then I'm turned grateful. It's like I'm grateful I'm not them and I don't have to live with them. You know?
Oh, it's such a powerful. I mean, you touched on it. Gratitude, I feel like, is one of the most powerful forces on earth that changes our entire life. And something that I've found and kind of determined everything about my win it minute mindset is all about gratitude because
Yep.
the human brain can't hold two emotions simultaneously at the same time. We all think we're great at multitasking. We all think we can, do a spreadsheet, work on our email and watch Netflix and talk to our spouse at the same time. But your spouse will probably tell you that you're not really paying attention to what she's saying, and at the
Yep.
same time, your brain is just going back and forth, multitasking. But that is what I'm saying is that you can't hold those two emotions, so you can't be grateful and angry at the exact same time. So if you're going to have to choose one
Absolutely.
emotion, obviously, if you choose to be grateful, just find something to be grateful for, it can eliminate that feeling of frustration and anger in your life because your brain can't compute them simultaneously.
That's right. That's what I tell people. I use the word. I said, you can't be grateful and grouchy at the same time. It just cannot happen.
Oh, absolutely.
And then if you decide to be grouchy, you need to hold yourself accountable because that's a choice that you made,
Absolutely.
especially when you know that there's a difference
Oh,
and there's a different way to go, and that's where I think a lot of people fail to look in the mirror to hold themselves accountable. I know I used to. That's what got me on this kick because I got inundated, and I've got a copy of it somewhere in my desk. It was cut out of a newspaper many years ago. It was called The Man in the Glass. It's like everybody may pat you on the back, tell you you're a great guy and all this as you go pass through the years of life, but the man in the glass will tell you you're a bum if you can't look him in the eye. Now, he's the one to please, never mind all the rest.
yeah.
You pass life's most dangerous test if the man in the glass is your friend. And it's like, man, that is so true. You know,
Absolutely. Very powerful. And I think so often in life we lose perspective on those things. We're so worried about, what's going on, what we see people post. I mean, it's amazing to me how people can get so worked up over like a social media post or just something happening on the news. And if you talk to people, you would think we are living in a world that's about to explode, and it's like the worst time to be alive. But to me, that's the biggest thing. Whenever you can't find something to be grateful for, like when if I'm at a Starbucks and you see someone getting angry because they accidentally used the wrong non-fat milk in their soy tea latte or whatever, and they get frustrated and they're upset, and you're like, you're drinking this beautiful, like, coffee, that you're living in 2026. And if you don't realize that, right now we have a higher quality of life than any human being to ever walk the face of this earth. I mean, think about it. Less than 100 years ago, kings and queens or people of royalty didn't have anywhere near the quality of life as we get to experience every single day. But we find little things to trip us up and be frustrated about. I mean, if you just took your grandparents and showed them your fridge or the car that you drive, they'd be like, "What? Like, what is going on? This is amazing." But yet we find reasons and we look for reasons to be upset every single day. So if you were to be accountable and just be like, what would my grandparents say if I was frustrated that that this soy tea latte doesn't have the right milk in it or something?
Dude, I gotta tell you though, you said that and it just took me right back to my grandmother on my dad's side. She had a 71 Chevelle that I wish I had today.
There you go.
It's like, oh my gosh, But yeah, you're absolutely right. And you talk about the people online. It's like, I have to remind people sometimes that it's like, they get all bent out of shape arguing with somebody online. I'm like, you realize the person you're arguing with was probably eating glue in elementary school.
Yeah.
Why let them ruin your day? And that's why I hold myself accountable in so many ways. And it starts with me. Because I learned a long time ago, and that's why I tell people about the hula hoop theory, that just pretend you throw a hula hoop on the ground and step inside. That's all you can control. It's what you think, how you feel, what you say, and what you do. That's it. You can't control anybody or anything outside of that hula hoop. And so it's like I have to stop myself sometimes when I see myself starting to get angry or mad about something. Say, wait a minute, is that in my hula hoop? I can't change that. I can't change that person. I can't change that situation. So why am I letting that get me upset? And I realizing too, the accountability is I choose to do that. I quit saying they made me mad. I know that's putting accountability on them, and I'm the one responsible for that. I'm the one responsible for those feelings and how I react to them.
Oh,
So
absolutely. It's I've been given the gift of having children because I have 3 children, and it's not a day goes by that I'm always talking about positivity and trying to be this leader and inspirational. But of course, you have your frustration moments, and I'll get angry at my kids. They're doing something wrong, and I'll start yelling, "Stop doing this! Why are you doing that?" And all of a sudden, I'll always be like, "Oh, look at Mr. Positive over here, angry and upset." I'm like, "Oh, thank you, God, for sending someone to remind me that I'm not always positive." And it's a
and how old is this
13.
one?
So
That's the 13-year-old that had the heart problem.
yeah. So it's always
Mr. Positive. I love it.
He keeps me accountable.
I absolutely love it. I love it. Yeah. That was a thing. One of the ladies this weekend at the Thrive conference, she was trying to talk about how to juggle work and our businesses and her home life. And said her kids finally started realizing, hey, she gets paid when she goes off. That allows her to do some things with me. And so they work a schedule that they have jobs to do while they're at home. But her oldest one was 8. And he's like, Mom, I know that you get paid when you go out and do these talks. And I know you talk about me and his little brother. So I think if you're talking about us from stage, we need to get paid too.
They're getting smarter.
And so she made an agreement with them. So they got then they get held accountable by their father if they're not holding up their end of the chores and stuff to get that money when mom's off work. And I said, that is awesome.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It's awesome. Sometimes our best teachers come in all shapes and sizes and
Oh,
ages.
big time. And it's I feel
Yeah.
a lot of like, accountability really isn't about, so much about pressure. It's really about the purpose that you're giving for yourself and the purpose that you have in front of you, and realizing that you have to, you have to be your best version so that you can influence those around you, because everyone
Oh,
needs that.
absolutely.
And sometimes, that pressure is a gift, and that makes you be your best version so you can be the best for everyone around you, and then they can be influenced by that also.
Absolutely. I heard somebody say not too long ago, and I can't remember who it was, it said, embrace the suck,"
Yeah.
because it teaches you so many lessons, and when you find that you can be grateful for the struggles because it helps you grow, which I think I'm there in a lot of ways too, with, having sat through many hospice routines with family members as they were in their last days, being able to embrace those challenges made me into the person that I am. I don't want to, even Jim Rohn used to say, I said, don't wish things were better, wish you were better, or wish you had more skills, to be able to overcome that kind of stuff, which is all, that's what it's all about, is learning from every aspect of our lives.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
so what's next on your agenda here, man, in your life, and where your accountability is going to help propel you?
For me, at the end of the day, I feel like accountability isn't so much about perfection, it's about ownership and showing up. And that's what I try to do every single day is, I've developed the Win It Minute, where I put out about a 1
Oh, yeah.
minute video a day about how people can be more positive and successful in life. But what that has done is it's inspired me to want to help other people. So it forces me every single day. I've trained my brain to look for those opportunities to teach people about being more positive and being more grateful. So now my brain is
Mhm.
always looking for those opportunities. So anytime I face that challenge or obstacle, which we all do every single day, no matter how perfect you have your day planned out, right when you start your day, there's always fires coming at you that you're putting out. But now
Yeah.
when those fires come to me, I'm grateful for them. So I'm like, all right, how am I going to be a better version by overcoming this challenge or overcoming this obstacle? And then on the flip side, how can I teach others about this challenge? So I love it when I face those challenges. I'm like, all right, this will be a great Win It Minute topic on how I overcame it and became a better version. And I just learned so much more about how when you train your brain to look for those opportunities, you become a better version and your brain starts finding it. It's like it's training, it's like an algorithm in your brain. You start to look for them. But it's, in the flip side, so many people I feel have trained their brain to look for what's wrong. And when you look for what's wrong,
Oh,
Jeff, you're going to find it every single day.
well, that creates a level of comfort for them, is they know what to expect there. And the fact is, if you're pointing fingers at other people, you're not holding yourself accountable. You don't have to get uncomfortable,
Yeah.
you know, because that you've developed a amount of comfort level in the negativity. It's like you know what to expect, and then you start assuming that it's always going to be that way. And I tell people that, to me, those are pity parties, and don't invite me to those, because you're typically the only one that shows up. I want no part of pity parties. I did my own over 40 years ago. I'm not doing those anymore. So where can someone find some of these Win It Minute videos that you're doing?
Oh, wherever they are, I'm there. Whatever social media channel, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter X, I'm there. All Win It Minute. You can find it, and it makes it easier. You don't have to look for Graveldinger.
Win It
Just
Minute.
Win It Minute.
Yeah, this is true. Well, that's sort of like with our buddy Mark Cosby that talks about the mindset
Yeah.
reset. So it's all about a mindset, and that's where you are in charge of your own attitude and your how your day goes. You're the one in charge of that. From the time you wake up in the morning, that day is your responsibility on whether it goes south or not. Just because things happen, you don't have to let it drag you. And when bad things happen, like Les Brown said, don't go with them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's
So
what I feel like. It sometimes it only takes 1 minute. If you take 1 minute for yourself to that mindset reset, like our friend Mark would talk about, it really changes everything in your day because no matter
Totally.
how much you have planned out on your schedule, there's always going to be those fires that pop up. But if you're ready and you're already in that positive frame of mind and you're ready to embrace the suck, like you said, you can overcome it a lot easier. It just takes sometimes 1 minute of a reset in your mind.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's where, the people, I think, need to recognize that and realize where it runs rails and just stop and pause, take a deep breath and say, okay, can I change this? If the answer is no, then why are you letting it ruin your day? And you can consciously make that choice and be intentional about how you respond to no matter what the thing may be. It's like I said a few weeks ago, if you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plans.
Absolutely.
Because that's definitely may not be what your future holds, and you got to deal with whatever's thrown at you. It's like sometimes they say, life's throwing hardballs. Well, swing for the fence, man. You
Yeah.
know, knock it out of the park.
Yep.
Or be like our goalie for the U.S. team that won with that goal the other day to win the gold medal
Yeah.
with missing a tooth.
Yeah.
Man already knocked his tooth out, and he just sucked it up, got back in there, and won the game, which was pretty cool. So
That's good
let me ask
sacrifice
you,
to make.
as we get ready to close here, if you had some advice to someone about some things that they could do to start holding themselves accountable and what they could look for in their lives, what would that be before we leave?
I would say, obviously, the mindset reset is the most powerful thing, but shifting your mind to an attitude of gratitude can change your entire life, which then has that ripple effect on those around you. And you have an obligation to help, not only yourself be the best version, but in turn help those around you, because that is such a far range. You can literally change the world by just changing your mindset and making that contagious ripple effect to those around you. And if you can't find a reason to be grateful, the easiest shift in that is to help other people. I mean, if you help somebody or even compliment somebody, like you said, it makes yourself feel better and it shifts you out of that feeling of frustration. And helping someone is the ultimate antidote when you're feeling like you can't get unstuck. I've always found if I just go and help somebody, it really shifts your mindset, because that feeling of helping others gets you out and breaks you out and makes you feel better about not only what you're doing for others, but about yourself too.
Absolutely. It's like, I tell people a lot of times, get out of yourself. When you're focused on self too much and you do have a lot of problems going on, and I love that, go help somebody else.
Yeah.
Take your mind off yourself, and because if you sit there and look around, everybody's got problems, you know.
Absolutely.
So if you can get out of yourself and go help someone else, that's a great way to help with that shifting that mind and create that win it minute. Keith, thank you so much for being on here today. And I look forward to being able to release this episode here in the next few weeks so other people can get to know the guy that I know. So
Awesome. No,
thanks
I
for being
appreciate
here,
this
buddy.
opportunity.
All right.
Absolutely. Win the
Thanks.
day.
There you go. Bye.
Bye.